Alrighty folks, this is Lurch from Ireland Gaming and welcome back to another episode of From the Depths. Sorry I'm a little bit whispery at the minute because my girlfriend is actually sleeping behind me, so I have to be quite quiet. But hopefully it's still audible enough. I'll try and boost the volume and editing and all that, but I'm going to be a little bit more sedate, but that's okay because most of this episode is going to be a building episode. We're back working on the hover tank and I've had some ideas. I did a little bit of testing. Run into a problem with these burstmasters. They need to be elevated one so that they can shoot over the center bar, which is a bit of a problem, but I have a solution for that, and that is we are removing the burstmasters. They have to go because I have obviously been testing the new CRAM cannons quite extensively, and they're a whole heap of fun, and I've actually built one to go in this ship, and I think I actually showed it off in I showed it off in the video of me playing about with the CRAM cannons and gushing over how awesome they look and all that. But yeah, I figure I might as well use one in this build. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of them. And this section here at the side has to come out a little bit. I have to add batteries because I completely forgot to do that. Let's do that now. This is a nice easy bit. The next step is... what is the next step? Get these in first. That's the 2 battery banks that I need. The whole sort of goal of this is to finish the whole the hull shaping and get to the PIDs and get this thing flying, which will be really awesome. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to go with hovers at all. I think I'm going to stick purely with thrustercraft, or purely with thrusters, just so that we can speed things along a little bit. Yeah, I think I will, because it'll make it a lot quicker. Building the things on the side will be an absolute pain, and I can actually add them later, which would be kind of cool. But yeah, first of all, let's go and have a look at the... those enormous derpy barrels down there. Let's go and have a look at the turret that we're going to use for this. This is the one that we're going to be using. It's a little bit taller. So, sorry, it's a little bit framey because this big fella here... Oh, incidentally, these have all been fixed now, compared to... I mean, a lot of people were saying, why didn't you shoot stuff in the last build, in the last video? It was pointless. The accuracy values were so ludicrously low, but now they work really quite well, and they're a lot of fun. I will hopefully get a chance to do a little bit of a montage at the end of this episode if I get this thing finished, before, if we at least get a combat ready. But I am definitely going to be playing about with these, and there's going to be a very combat-heavy montage showing these off in their full glory whenever they hit the stable branch, which will be hopefully fairly soon. But this is the fella that we're going to be using. No frills attached. It's a simple, high-explosive cannon. With a 1 meter shell. We liked it. But yeah, it's not terribly complicated. Just I think most of these have at least 2 ammo boxes connected. Nothing special. But yeah, this is the one that we're going to use, and I'm pretty happy with how the build turned out. With these cool port thingies and the gauges all built into the turret top. But yeah, I think I have this guy already saved as a prefab. Not a prefab, sub-object. No. Let's just make sure. I'll grab you again. And go over here. And we can get you out of play now. I just do more teasing. Oh god, that could have been bad. Something I've found I've had to start doing now because my graphics are so bad. Still haven't got my new graphics card, unfortunately. If you spawn something out of play before you scrap it, happens instantly. It just disappears. It really speeds it up. You don't have to wait for the whole thing to despawn and all that sort of jazz. Right, so this lovely shaping, it's got to go. I'm going to do this quickly. Speedy up. Okay, moment of truth. Ploop. Whoa. He's a big fella. She's a big fella. What am I talking about? I'm sorry, I'm really tired at the minute as well. I didn't get much sleep last night, but we're carrying on regardless. These things are bloody enormous. And they should be able to shoot over the top of this okay now, because the barrel's in line with it, so they've got a little bit more arc of fire than the other guys did, and if they're it's got a target sort of over in roughly that direction there, this one should be able to shoot. Oh, hang on, if I keep this short, this guy should be able to turn all the way around to this angle, which is pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. But yeah, I guess it's now time to start building the hull so that we can actually get something in line and we can demonstrate these things. So, it's buildy time. Okay, we're nearly ready to start putting thrusters on, but I forgot one other thing that I have to do. This railgun has to move up by 1 block, which is a bit of a pain, which means I have to do all of this bit again, but we're going to do that now, very, very quickly. I just thought I'd let you know that I'm going to do that. I'll do that just in a cut off camera, it won't take very long. I've also done a little bit of exhaust routing to get these engine exhausts out. And what else did I do? Oh yeah, I added local weapon controllers to these guys, and rather than give them a combined AI that shoots both of them, you can't see anything here, sorry. There we go. It's connected to the turret block here. Rather than giving them a combined AI, they've got an AI each. So it means that if this one on the right can't shoot at the same target as the other one, it won't continue to try to. It'll go and find something else to shoot at, which is nice. So, okay, right, I have to move that turret, and then I'll be back to start putting thrusters on, and we can make this bloody thing fly. Okie dokie. The turret has been raised, and it fits in rather nicely there. It all actually looks like it's fully connected until it turns, which is kind of cool. I likes that. But yeah, now it is time to start putting thrusters on. So the first thing we want to do is shrinky the blocks and realize that we're not looking at the hull. Press P, shrinky blocks, and find our center of mass. And we have found our center of mass. Hello, the center of mass. Now, we want to line our upwards thrust with this. Now, this is a pain in the ass because it's actually not in the center of a block, but we're going to have to make do with that. So, we have to go straight down, so it's between these two, and we need to put thrusters. We're going to use big thrusters, and it has to be there, and there. And that should be either side of the center of mass. Now, I want to have symmetry on, and we have to keep these thrusters balanced at all times. So if I want to put one here, then I have to put another one back here as well. It's very important. Otherwise you get offset thrust and things go wonky. I am just going to go absolutely batshit and put that many on. Just because. This is actually way more thrust than we need, but it's nice to have a little bit of redundancy, and the PID is able to control all of them. Well, first things first, let's turn the bloody... so many AIs on this. Turn you off. I have used to... Oh, I think the PID... I have a PID set to altitude. That's what's happening. Right. Next we need 2 more thrusters. Good lord, that is so laggy. Where are we going to put 2 more thrusters? And we want these to be lined up more or less with the center of mass too, which is a bit of a problem. Let's use little ones. These are going to be for roll. And we're going to set these ones, because they're on the left-hand side, to roll left-hand side. And over to the right. And we're going to set these guys to roll reverse right-hand side, because they're on the right. There we go. And they should be enough to keep us right, keep us correct and level and steady and all those lovely things. What else do we need? We need pitch thrusters too. Now, these could probably go... No, that's the wrong way round, Lurch. That's right there, yeah? Yeah. Tell you what, let's go for big ones here, because it won't fit there, because they're big blocks. Damn blast and confound. Okay, let's put... Oh, that's way too many. And I'm going to need some in front. These are from the back. Actually, just a note, these are behind the center of mass, so we actually have to turn these to thruster reverse so that they will work correctly. And we have to go forward, and best place for these, probably... that'll do. These guys don't need to be set to thruster reverse. Now, providing that is enough thrust, and we may need to add a couple of more of these guys depending on what way our shippy thing wants to fly, because we're still playing with the new drag model, and lining stuff up just straight with your center of mass isn't the easiest thing anymore. It's not just a matter of everything that is applied at center of mass. Drag and stuff like that is applied, well, almost localized. It's not completely localized yet, but we need to get our jet engines. Oh crap, I forgot where that was. It's down one, so we go up one from here. Down one from here is there, and that will be the top. Ugh. Oh, that's way too much, man. Right, we don't need all of them. And that's in the center. 4 is more than enough. And that should about do it. Okay, cool. I think it's nearly PID time. That should be all of the control thrusters that we need to keep this thing level. So I will BRB with a PID. Okay, so PID time. First thing we're going to do is add more PIDs, because I've deleted the ones that I had here already. The reason being, I had 2 AI ones, and they aren't, because I'm using a naval AI, they won't use thrusters the way that I want them to, so we have to use a general purpose. Now this isn't a bad thing. Now the general purpose one you can find in the control tab, and this is him here, as opposed to the AI PID, which is here. Now as far as I know, this guy has to be attached to an AI, whereas the other fella... Where are you again? There, control. He can be put anywhere. But I'm actually going to stick them in here anyway, because this is a nice little safe box for them. And we are going to need 3 PID settings. The most important one to start, because we are doing the fly-y thing, and we are probably going to need this on, is the altitude. And we need this guy set here. Uses upwards facing thrusters and propellers to achieve an altitude. Use the test stimulus to request a value other than 0. First thing we want to do is set our altitude, and I want to be flying at about 10 meters, which isn't very high. And because we're using test stimulus 1, we have test stimulus 1 here. And this means that you'll see here the green line is the variable. This is the current value. It's trying to set it to 10 meters. So we want this, we want to always be achieving this. And Red is the demand, so that's the thing the demand that's being put on your system. And blue is the control variable, and that's what the PID is trying to do, and you can't see it at the minute because it's trying to go all the way to the top. Now, the first thing I want to do for this is remove the integral time, and in nearly every circumstance, this is the first thing you're going to do, is turn that off. You don't need it in most cases, and all of a sudden we've got a blue line. That's because it's no longer saturated. It might be worthwhile... No, I'm actually going to have to hold this up and drop it, because if this thing falls into the water, it's not going to be able to turn on the thrusters. Next thing we want to do is give it some gain. We have lots and lots of thrust, and it's good to set the gain to something that it can achieve. If you set the gain really high, you see we're in output saturated now, and that means that the thrusters that it has don't have enough power to compensate for the demand that it wants to do, so we have to keep that relatively low. In many cases I will keep this value at about 0.02 or 0.03. In this case, because we have quite a bit of juice, we can set it pretty high, and it will give the PID a lot of authority and allow it to give it lots of gas to actually get it moving. The final variable we need to set here is the derivative time, and this is essentially like damping. And let us, for example, turn this off now and see what happens. Okay, we're away. Trouble at the minute is we have no pitch thrusters, but it is trying to get up. It's trying to get into the air. Okay, that is going to be a slight problem. This is probably going to work at about 15 or so, but we're going to have to set up something else first, which is the pitch controllers, because that was giving us trouble there. So we'll set this guy to pitch. Controls air and water thrusters and thruster reverse propulsion components to achieve a pitch. We want 0 pitch, but the first thing we do again is turn off the integral time. And we have loads of authority here, so let us give it a bit more juice. Nah, that's way too much. Let's pull this down a bit. Say 0.5, and we'll set it to, say, 20. And see what happens now whenever we turn this off. Oh. Oh. Oh, what's happening? It's trying to push the nose down, but it's failing. So, why? It hasn't got enough juice. So that means we haven't got enough engines on the top. Let's fix that. Okay, that's maybe a bad place for them. Oh, look. All of a sudden we're getting some authority. We're gonna need some big ones in the back now too. And we're pitching. So now we need to set up the other PID. You can see this can be a bit of a pain in the ass just to get it all set up correctly. We need to set the roll thrusters now. If we can get this to a basic setting, same scenario again, integral time 0, we'll give it a bit of authority, and we need to set it to roll now. Give it a little bit of damping. Oh, not that much damping. And see what happens now. And I think the problem is I have the altitude one set too low. Let's set this to 20. You can't. Okay. I get a feeling that my center of mass is imbalanced or something like that. What is going on here? Scary lines. Yeah, you see, you guys wanted me to see how to make this thing fly, so now you're bloody getting it. This is a long and arduous process. They still don't have the authority. Oh, I know why these things are counteracting them. I never set them to reverse. Dumbass. They essentially nullified the two that we had. Hang on, this should be a lot better now. You are still going backwards. Let us go to patrol and get him to do something. Eek. Well, going forward anyway. well, it's not, it's going backwards. Let's actually, okay, let's, feel. Let us get another thruster, put it on the bottom. Oh. We have something stable, guys. Look at that. It's sitting nicely now. Okay, now we can start doing tuney stuff. Everything's working. So, back to the PIDs. We want to get to this one. This was the altitude one. And it seems to be set really quite nicely. We have a demand of... The blue is the control, this is the output. So now it's got plenty of extra thrust to use if it needs it. The green line is where it's actually sitting, and the red line is where it wants to be. And it's a little bit short. Now, it's starting to level out now, actually. There we go. With a little bit of time, it's starting to level out very nicely. It's overshooting a little bit, you see? And if we raise the damping a little bit, it should get rid of that. But it's very, very little, and it's not really a big issue. But a good thing in this scenario, because we have cannons with like high recoil, having lots of gain here should be beneficial, because it should be able to compensate quite quickly. Now, what's happening here? We are... Oh, that's the demand is going down, but we're sitting near our level. Okay, so that's fine. That's lovely. That's working perfectly. But something is not 100% correct. We are in general purpose pitch, and I think it's probably the pitch that's causing the problem. Okay, so I ran out of hard drive space, and I cut off the end of that segment. What I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted by technical difficulties is... we were having a recurring error on the PID, on the pitch controller. So what was happening was it wasn't able to compensate for this error, and it would just carry on infinitely and get worse, or at least stay bad the whole time. And that was why we were having the pitching problem. But if we use the integral time, and this gets rid of this recurring error thing, it tries to correct the error over a certain amount of time that you give it. So if we set it to something like... I had it at like 33, we can probably set it a bit lower. Let's set it to 17. This gives it 17.5 seconds to correct this error, which is a finite amount of time, and that means that it will try and sort of compensate for it. And you can see now, sorry for the elephant upstairs, my brother doesn't know how to keep quiet. The red line here is the demand, and the green line is now stabilizing centrally. So if we look out now, we should be sitting very, very steady. At least a little bit more steady than before. We're still firing the reverse or the pitch down thrusters, but it's working. I also put turning thrusters on the side because I completely forgot to add them. Now, I am going to do some very brief testing to make sure this thing actually fights, and then I'll be right back. Alright, now that I've actually got this thing flying, I added an extra couple of roll thrusters on the bottom, and that was about it. You can actually see it doing something now. Now this is the demand, and this is what the thrusters are actually doing, and this green line is what's actually happening. And you can see we're still waving, which is not good, but we're not saturated, so we have enough gain, but we want to increase our damping time. So if we increase our damping, this increases the estimation time. This increases the estimation and allows it to predict ahead where the ship is going to be. So the more damping time you add, the smoother you'll see the curve is starting to get. And we're getting there, and it's just a matter of adding a little bit at a time until you get a nice flat curve. And we're getting very close to that now, aren't we? What we could also try and do is add a little more gain. It might do the same, or it may not. No, let us just keep going with the damping. By the way, you can use the mouse wheel for changing these values. Very handy. Now, I think that wave now, because we're working on the roll, that little wave in it is now caused by the pitch oscillation rather than the actual roll itself. So let us find the pitch controller, which is this one. And let us give it a little bit more damping. It seems to be doing okay. It's going to do a bit more than that. What's happening? We're getting a really bad roll problem here. Why are we rolling so bad? I think that's now our altitude that is the problem. See, this is an eternal fucking battle. We need to turn this way the hell down. Because it's overshooting all the time. And let us change our look ahead so that it's a little bit more sensible. See, this does not make for good viewing, guys, I'm sorry, but tweaking a PID controller is one of those things that you have to sort of sit and fiddle with for absolutely ages. So right now I am going to sit and fiddle with, and I'm just going to be changing these values until I find something that works. And that's really all there is to the PID. It's a scary block, but you just fiddle with it till it works. There's no magical wizardry to it, more or less. I mean, you follow the basic principles. If you keep this blue line not saturated, and keep the derivative time, or use the derivative time as a damper, well, you can get pretty good results pretty basically. But right now I am going to cut and fiddle with this for a while longer, or I'll be here all night. Alright, so I didn't do any more tweaking. I added a couple of jet stabilizers and it did exactly what I needed it to do. Stabilize the roll just a little bit so that we've got slightly more stable flight, and that is excellent. We've also got fully active weapons now. Sweet! So I think it's time to just start shooting stuff, don't you? I do still have to configure the AI for it to do stuff, but let us see what it does to this Kalmar. I love it when it does these drifts. This is so cool. Oh, hello, the cannons. That is what one of those thingies does. This is a pure explosive cannon. There is two explosive CRAM cannons firing 1,000mm shells. Yeah, 1,000mm shells. There's another one, and AI dead. That is absolutely glorious. Oh, so very happy. Okay, so this isn't finished yet. Oh, you are so screwed, mate. This isn't finished yet. It needs AI tweaking, it needs to be painted, it needs a lot of little bits, tweaks, changes. So I'm not going to call this build done. I'm going to do another video covering the rest, the finishing touches, the tweaks, the other little bits and pieces. We want to cover up these thrusters and make them all a little bit cooler. But right now, it's combat ready. So you know what that means? We're going to have a short montage. I'm just going to wrap the episode up here though. I do hope you enjoyed this little build so far. Stay tuned for part 3 and we'll finish it all up and do the final tweaks. I know it's a little bit rambly. The PID is a funny block. It's not something that lends itself well to being tweaked with on camera. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the upcoming montage. Any likes, subs or comments are really, really awesome. I love hearing from you guys and I read every single comment. As always, take it handy and have a bloody good day.